Hello, this is Greg Allis from Green Greg's Garden and Worm Farm, and we have a special guest tonight. Our guest tonight is a believer in the philosophy, let thy food be thy medicine, from Hippocrates. And her name is Gail Angeles, and she has her own little channel and business she calls Rainbow Food Rocks. And let me tell you, this lady, she really rocks because she has applied that principle of let thy food be thy medicine. So, Gail, you tell us just how you've applied that principle.
Well, I'm the author of Rainbow Food Rocks, so this is what my book looks like, in case you can't see the poster in the background. And this recipe book is wheat-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, corn-free, soy-free, egg-free, peanut-free, and it's also made so if you're a vegan or a vegetarian or you're plant-based, it's still compliant, but if you're a meat eater, you can just add the meat in lieu of the jackfruit or whatever else I use for meat. So it's something for everyone, but it owns the foods that often cause inflammation for a lot of people, which can manifest into different illnesses. And it's the chemicalization of these foods that I've found has caused a lot of problems for children. So my oldest daughter, for instance, she had autism spectrum disorder and ADHD. And I say had because she no longer has that. And my youngest daughter was having pain from her waist down, and she couldn't walk, and she was crying. She was scrunching her feet in pain. She was having stomach issues, bloated, pushing her stomach against like beds and chairs just because it hurt so much. And then my son was breaking out from what apparently was a wheat allergy. And so that all happened in October of 2015, and it led me down this path, this journey, which I'm still on, and I had to figure out how to heal my kids. So I did a trial and error and experimented and took out certain foods, starting with dairy, and watched to see, and I started with my oldest daughter at first, and watched to see the results of that. And it was pretty fast that my oldest daughter did better. And so I eventually applied it to my youngest daughter. And there's a whole story to that. I have the story on my website, Rainbow Food Rocks, and I also have it in my book. And as part of this journey, I had also gotten sick or ill, and I had to figure out how to heal myself. And I don't really talk about it much in the book, but I was in pretty bad shape. I couldn't go up and down the stairs. I had pain in my ankles, my knees, my waist, my shoulders, my elbows to my wrists. And it was pretty bad. So about 2017, I hit an apex where my stomach was hurting so much that I went to my naturopathic doctor and started really inquiring what in the world is going on. I don't think that what I had going on is 100% the same as my kids, but I think the foods that we had been eating previously slowly added up to that. And then the stress was the trigger. The stress of trying to heal my kids was the trigger that set it off in myself. So all of that inspired me to learn more about food, to start now a garden, which is on my YouTube channel. I've been on Dr. Paul Cottrell's channel and talked about that. And I was just out earlier harvesting from my garden. I got some great lettuce, some basil, some dill, some parsley, some thyme, and I just made, turmeric. I love turmeric. I'm trying to figure out how to get my turmeric to grow. I saw your video. You're so excited. I love juicing it. It tastes really good when you juice it. Do you ever juice it?
Yeah, you know what I do? I just slice it up and put it in my salads, just like this. I take it like this. In fact, I just had a salad with it. Of course, you know you need to. Black pepper helps activate turmeric, the curcumin in it, and also oil. It's oil soluble, so I had some. I have to say yes. You need a fat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, or avocado. I actually had avocado, spinach, turmeric, and garlic salad, more or less.
Oh, that's fabulous. Yeah, and the garlic goes really well with the avocado.
Although my salad was pretty pungent because I had a whole clove of garlic, a lot of black pepper.
I love doing that. I totally do that. I'm on the same boat. I mean, I even chew every morning about this much ginger, and I even swallow it, which is kind of rare. I don't hear many people that can actually take a whole chunk of ginger, chew it, and swallow it.
That must be why you're so cheery and such a picture of health.
All that spice.
Spice is nice.
Yeah, that's good for you too.
Absolutely. So you've healed basically healed your 3 children and yourself. Now, just for the disclaimer for the powers that be that would slam a sledgehammer on our head, we should say that we're not medical doctors and we're not giving medical advice. And this is just things that have worked for Gail that she's been doing. And please, of course, we have to tell you to consult with your doctor.
Absolutely. And I always put that disclaimer. It's in my book. I put it on my website. I always say that because I don't want to be held liable for someone doing something.
So if you want to expand on that disclaimer, feel free.
That's perfect.
Of course,
no need to expand.
I think Hippocrates had it right from the get-go.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. I mean, what I found is the food was what completely healed my kids. And then for me, I added supplements. And I actually have a list of all the supplements that I've used and still use on my website. I also have a list of all the, I want to say it's about 86 different vendors that I used to, and I wasn't sponsored, but I use these products for making my recipes. And so sometimes people ask me like, well, what did you use to make this? And what did you use to make that? Now I do have a notes section in my book where I say it, and it usually corresponds on that recipe page with that recipe. But then sometimes people just want to know, well, I want to just buy a bunch of these products. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not sponsored and here's the list, go for it. So that's on my website, and I'm starting to put how-tos on my website. So I'm going and taking my YouTube videos that I just started making, like how to make cinnamon ginger turmeric tea, or how to make your own dish soap, how to make your own hand soap, how to make your own toothpaste. And so pretty much I really want to empower people and teach people how they can make their own things. And also I realized on this journey, it's not just the food, but it's also what goes on our bodies that can affect us. So when we're using our shampoo, our
soaps, our
deodorant,
and hand sanitizer. Everybody wants to use hand sanitizer. It's got nasty chemicals in it.
And I don't do that. Yeah, I just make my own.
And you talk about making so many of your own products. You're the consummate prepper already, just in trying to heal your family. You're growing your own garden, and you've become a prepper, whether you realize it or not. You're a prep steader. And what a lot of people don't realize is that we used to not have Crohn's disease, leaky gut syndrome, all these diseases and spectral disorders you hear about today used to not exist, or they were very, very rare. So I think, it's our modern diet. I keep trying to tell people how our diet is poison. All these foods you get out of the grocery stores, if it's not poison, it's cardboard. It's nutrient deficient. And we have a huge nutrient deficiency in the American population, particularly with things like magnesium. And being magnesium deficient really affects your heart. A lot of people don't realize that. So that's what I talk about. And you're here living it, and living it very well, I might add. And you've written your book about it. I'm really glad to see that. But that's why I grow, a lot of what I grow in my garden is principally medicinal. I grow this stuff. I grow elephant garlic, and I grow some other things, but it's mainly, I grow a medicinal garden. But then all food is your medicine, right?
Yes, exactly. And turmeric, I mean, Indian cultures have been using turmeric for a very long time for a lot of ways of healing. So turmeric is great.
Yeah. So what did you find was the biggest offenses in your food, the food that was afflicting your family?
What it was is, like I mentioned, the dairy was a big problem, and I didn't realize that, and sorry, I don't have a microphone. I need to figure out how to get a good microphone. So hopefully you can hear me.
I can.
Okay, fabulous. So dairy was a big problem, and I just didn't realize what had been going on with the cows, which I know Stacy and you were just talking about, so I don't need to reiterate about that. But I was listening to your show, and it really started when I took out the cheese from my oldest daughter, Abigail, and the dairy and the milk and all that. I noticed that she got 25% better. And then I was like, well, why? And so I always ask, why this, why that? And I have to learn about it. So I started getting out books and learning about the A1 and the A2 and all these different things. And I started learning about the gut. And then, okay.
Stop. Tell us about A1 and A2. You know what it is, but the listeners here, man. So tell the listeners what A1 and A2 is. Talk to us.
Well, I don't remember all that I researched that well 5 years ago, but pretty much what I remember is that the A1 milk is better than the A2, and that there are different cows And I'm trying to recall now because it's been a while since
Stacy was talking about that.
Search. But the way also that the cows are treated comes into play. And I mean, right now, if you look, like, okay, I live in Arizona. If I drive down the street, I'll see a bunch of cows grouped together. And these are cows that they're using to obtain milk. And I mean, the conditions, it stinks to high heaven. It's just disgusting. And then the way they do it and the automated stuff they have, it's just,
okay, here's the problem with that. In the feedlots, the cows are almost utter deep, and you know what? It's nasty, it's disgusting. They're all packed in like sardines in a can. And you know, there may be fields and pastures all around, but they got all the cows just right there in a pen. And it stinks worse than a pig pen. I could smell the dairy farm out west for miles before I get to it. It's like, wow, I want to drink anything from there. Well, you know, those cows aren't happy being packed in like that. They're not getting the kind of exercise they want. They're not eating nice green grass. They're eating grain, which is not natural to a cow. They're extreme. Who wouldn't be unhappy in a nasty fetid prison like that, just turned into a production machine? The dairies around here, at least the cows are running around in a pasture, and that's what I'm used to seeing. But out west, it's just horrific. But what they do is they have to, because they're so packed in, they're susceptible to all kinds of diseases. You pack everybody into a sardine can. There's no social distancing, and essentially they have to pump them full of all kind of antibiotics. They pump them through their hormones. Yes. Well, they've got hormones coursing through them already because they're unhappy. They're, they've got stress hormones. They're loaded up with stress, all kind of stress. And I'll tell you, in meat, if you got an animal with adrenaline in the meat, you can't hardly eat the meat. It tastes putrid. So that's what you're getting with your milk. You're getting milk that's loaded up with bad hormones, that's flooded with antibiotics, and God knows what else. But those cows aren't happy cows. They're not making the best milk. They're not getting the best nutrition. How can you expect anything like that? So, and on that same accord, I've got a friend who sells at the farmer's market. He's selling for his grandson. His grandson has a business raising chickens, organic chickens. Pardon me, I got a cough here. But the funny thing was, the boy was allergic to eggs, or so they thought. When they started growing, he tried organic eggs and discovered he could eat them. So he actually started raising chickens. He found people started asking him about buying his eggs, like teachers and things like that. Now, this is a young, really small boy, more or less. And he started selling them. So his grandfather had a great idea that you feed them, you raise them, I'll sell the eggs at the farmer's market. And that's what they do. It's called Scoot. Yeah, the boy's name is Scoot. Scoot's eggs or something like that. But he's actually turned it into a business. What started out as a food allergy because they were eating, the hormone and antibiotic-filled chicken eggs you normally get at the grocery store. But he discovered he didn't really have an egg allergy. It was an allergy to the junk that's coming through our industrialized, corporatized agriculture, which is garbage. And it's kind of a shame that the powers that be think the solution to everything is to take us off our farms, put us in rack and stack shipping containers, and feed us more of that junk. I don't buy it. What do you think?
Well, you make so many great points. Let's see if I can remember all the things I want to touch upon. So one thing is I didn't realize about the whole grass-fed, grass-finished for the cows, for instance. So when I was on this journey, I learned about the difference and grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised. I had to learn all of this. And it's kind of unfortunate because I come from New York and I lived in Brooklyn and Long Island. I didn't really encountered that in my studies, and I was quite studious and very academic, and I did very well in school. So I had to really teach myself about these things. And then the other thing you're talking about with the hormones and such, like pasteurized milk versus unpasteurized milk, and how you can't have it unpasteurized in many states, and all those things. And then, like you said, the hormones that the cows are given coming through the milk, and you were talking about the eggs. Now, Adeline, my youngest daughter, it was actually eggs that was triggering her the most. And had taken out all the items that I mentioned. So first it was the dairy, then I took out the wheat, and then the corn, because I realized the corn was worse than the wheat. Then I took out the soy, the natural flavors, the artificial flavors, the dyes, anything with a number, and then, and took out like anything with MSG. And then I still couldn't figure it out. And I did an IgG food allergy test, a food sensitivity test, the one where they prick your finger and put blood on circles. And that is where I realized that my youngest daughter, Adeline, was having an issue with eggs. And like you were just saying, you know, it's what's being done to the eggs. And so I want to bring that to your audience's attention is it's like these foods are meant to be good for us, but it's what's being done to the foods. And in addition to that, it's also the energy going into the food. So, I mean, if an animal is treated a certain way and those hormones are triggered a certain way, and that's also going to go into your body. And so that actually leads me down to me, because I had to take meat out of my diet, and I was a meat eater. I had gone vegetarian and vegan when I was 17, but then I went back to eating meat. And for me, I took out all these items, including the eggs, just like my kids, to set the example, but I wound up having to take out the meat. And I think it was more of an energetic thing. And even when I did the grass-fed, grass-finished, it was still, I think it was just so overloaded with toxins, with stress, and I was having other issues of not being fully supported. And so when I took out the meat, I did better. And I think that it was just like that last little piece for me, just like for my youngest daughter, Adeline, the last piece was the eggs, and it was causing so much inflammation. Well, for me, it was the meat. And so I always like to tell people, like, I'm not anti-meat, even though my book is plant-based, vegan, and vegetarian compliant. And I support people that need to hunt for their meat or want to hunt for meat. And, you know, if push came to shove, I wouldn't have any objection to that. And I always like to make that clear. And I also eat honey, so I'm not a vegan. I see that. And so I just always like to let people know, because a lot of people are like, oh, she's vegan, or oh, she's, you know, like right away they want to put me in a box. And it's really, for me, it's all about what works best for the person and heals the person. And you can take out all these things and maybe you find there's one thing that you were missing. And for me, it was the meat. And, you know, sometimes I'll still smell meat and I'll remember what it tastes like, but I don't eat it. And, you know, I'm really also conscientious about it because I started a yoga practice, and I started taking Raja Yoga in 2018, and I became eventually a Kriyaban. And with that,
What's that? Okay, explain. You throw out a new term like that, you know, you need to explain it to the audience, including me.
Okay, so pretty much I took what's called Raja Yoga.
Okay, yeah.
It was an overview where we did like the Hatha yoga, where you do like the yoga poses, and you learn about the philosophy of yoga. So Raja, the royalty yoga. And it was like a very intensive course. And so after doing that, we were told if we wanted to move on, we could start studying what's called Kriya. It's where you really focus on the breath. You have certain practices you do, certain mudras, certain breathing techniques, and really focus your energy at the spiritual eye. So I took Kriya 1, and then I took Kriya 2, and then I graduated from that and became what's called a Kriyaban. Now, a Kriyaban is someone who pretty much studies under a lot of the different gurus. So for instance, like Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswar, and Yogananda. Yogananda Ji is how we usually say it. Ji at the end is for respect in Hindi. So you add J-I-G at the end. Okay. And so I now am a Kriyaban. I practice my Kriya daily. I have a meditation area, and I'm going to post tomorrow a video, between tonight and tomorrow, it might come up tonight, a video just kind of going over some basic steps for meditation. Not really going in depth with what I do, because there are certain things that I do that I can't teach anyone else unless that person wants to become a Kriyaban, and I have to get special permission. It's pretty much a very powerful yogic practice, and increases the vibrations and increases one's energy, and can be very healing as well. So that was part of my healing journey, and it still is.
Well, you definitely seem to be somewhat energetic.
That's what Rex said. Rex Bear from Link Project is like, whoa, she has energy.
I say, I probably have to drink some C60 to keep up with you.
Nice. That's a good plug.
Actually, I'm not an affiliate marketer for it. Rex gave me that. Him and the guy who runs the company.
Yeah, he's great. I see him in the chat sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I'm forgetting his name right off, but they gave that to me. That was mighty nice of them. So maybe I need to become an affiliate for them.
What? If you're not already, you better. You just plugged them.
Well, it's not the first time I plugged them either.
Oh, well, you need to make a phone call.
Yeah, I do, don't I?
Got to get some commission or something.
Oh, by the way, if you want to support my channel, click the links below. I'll put her links above mine, though. But just search on down and you'll find my links to True Leaf Market, because it is planting time. We're talking about growing good food. True Leaf Market has the heirloom seeds that you will need, because you need seeds that when you harvest a plant, you can collect the seeds and get the same plant back. If you don't have heirloom seeds, you're getting something different, and it probably isn't worth anything. So make sure you get heirloom seeds. True Leaf Market is a great source for that, and seeds for microgreens. So do check my link to True Leaf Market, and also prepwithgreg.com for prepping supplies, long-term food storage. These are things that can get you through a bind, and Lord knows we're in a bind, and I think it's going to get worse in the not too distant future. I hope I'm wrong, Gail. What do you think?
Well, I kind of have that feeling too. I've been helping Dr. Paul Cottrell in the background, and I posted a video last night, and it's not like my usual postings of happy energy. I was actually pretty upset because I learned Dr. Paul Cottrell got demonetized. And there were a lot of things that were going on that was kind of feeding him information as he was on other shows about HR 6666. And then I just learned today, and I can't remember the name of the bill, but that they're kind of reinstituting the Patriot Act. And that's what Dr. Paul Cottrell has been worried about. And so
what specifically do you think they demonetized him over? I'm not one to talk.
Well, he was doing
not to talk about the bug going around, but I am curious. What did they demonetize?
So I was moderating his chat. It's such a good question, and I was on the chat, and he had the $sign to do the super chats, and I'm telling everyone, okay, super chat. I'm being funny and like kind of entertaining the audience in the chat. And he had the episode where it was the underground with the Californian, I believe. I don't remember which episode number, but it's just like 1 or 2 episodes back. And so I'm on it yesterday, and then all of a sudden I write him and I'm like, hey, Paul, I don't see the $sign. And a few other people in the chat are like, where'd the $sign go? And we were wondering, like, why isn't anyone super chatting? Because usually like at least one person super chats during one of these episodes. Yep. And so then he went on. At first he was like, no, it's fine. I see it on my end. He refreshed his screen, and then he noticed that the $sign was gone. And so what we're thinking, it was what we were talking about. And also I'm pretty sure, and I can't remember 100%, but I'm pretty sure he talked about how he's going to be interviewing Judy. I always mispronounce her last name. Judy Mikovich. Is that how you say her last name?
Oh, he's interviewing her?
So yes. So that will probably air sometime between tonight and tomorrow. And so I don't know if that was the trigger, but in the middle of that is where I noticed the $sign disappeared. And it could have disappeared before that too, but it disappeared. And I could have sworn it was there, and then it was gone. So they said something that triggered something, and then they said he was in violation. Actually, I can read you what he was in violation for if you're curious what they said.
Maybe we should read it off the channel. I don't want to say magic words and get zapped.
Oh yeah. But anyway, it came up as a little like thing, and he was so upset, and I was so upset too, because he's trying to put out so much really great information for people, and I'm kind of trying to help him out in the background as much as I can. I have 3 kids, so it's sometimes a little challenging, but I try to moderate, and as I see things come through, I bring it to his attention and such. And so it was hard, because a lot of people are like, oh, why do we care he got demonetized? It's not about the money. And I'm like, no, it's not about the money. I'm telling people in the comments, said he was actually trying to use that money to buy products to help increase people's health. And he wanted to get some anti-aging products. And people didn't realize that he wanted to make like a whole kit, and he was using that money to invest to get that. And I've been in the background helping him with setting up these deals to get like all natural deodorant or toothpaste that not only is all natural, but is also detoxifying at the same time, and so on and so forth. So he was going to use that money to invest. And so he was really counting on it. And he's going through medical school and everything, which is very expensive. So that was where it was just a huge blow for him, and he was really upset.
Well, you know, there's a lot of people that just, they hate if somebody's got a commercial on their channel or say something like I just said a little bit ago about True Leaf Market, which, you know, it's going to help people if they go to there and they're not going to pay an extra penny using my link, not one extra cent. But people get upset about those kind of things. I guess they're communists or something. They think that, you know, you should do everything for free. Well, you know, anytime that we put time into this, it's time we're not putting into something else. And I've had somebody accuse me of trying to make money off of other people's, you know, bad situations or scare tactics or something like that. You know, I'm trying to put information up there to help people. But the key thing is, if I wanted to make money, I would just redouble my engineering efforts, because I can make a lot more money there. Or if I wanted to do it on YouTube, you know, I actually have 2 cats and 2 rabbits. Now, I see channels out there with cats and rabbits that make tons more money than me. I mean, I was talking to Stacy about this just a couple nights ago. You know, there's
I heard that.
the video of a rabbit gets awakened by the sound of a banana. 9 million views. Rabbit eats watermelon for the first time, like 11 or 12 million views. And a cat just meow, 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 meow. You know what? 12 million views. It's like, are you kidding me? I got the wrong thing going there. I got 2 cats. I got 2 rabbits. That's what I need to be doing. And they sell all kinds of
kids.
That's how you make money on
video.
And you'll never get demonetized. You don't have to worry about people coming into your channel and making comments trying to slap you around. I mean, we get beat up by people making comments on there because we don't agree with some little angle they've got. There's always that, and there's trolls. And those channels don't get no trolls. They don't have any flack at all, and YouTube just loves them to death. And so you'll get promoted to the top. You'll never have a problem, and you'll have a lot of fun.
You know why? Because it's mind numbing. Because I mean, the whole thing from my perspective is same with the food and the chemicalization of the food. It's to dumb us down and keep us numbed. And as I was healing my kids and healing myself, we were all starting to wake up, which I had had an awakening when I was a teenager and did this. But then I had my college years and my working years and my, you know, had just given birth years and more working. And so I didn't realize how much the food was suppressing us. And so once I cleaned up the diet, everything became so crystal clear. I mean, my mind is super, super clear. And now I can see things, I mean, even more, like I was able to see and perceive certain things when I was young that then just kind of went away in my 20s and early 30s. And then they came back online the moment I cleaned up my diet. And that's also what we realized. And that's how we getting the whole
wow. So you're talking about spiritual capacity now. And
well, what it was is my daughter started telling me that she was seeing my aura, my energetic field.
Oh yeah.
My abilities that I had when I was younger came back online also, and I started seeing things too. And so it got very interesting. So yeah, I'm not sure if this is the channel to talk about it, but it was just it was really interesting.
Okay, that's probably best left there, because there are people who will get really upset if you talk about certain things.
Exactly. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, you might recall that I had a Woden's Wednesday a while back. Somebody was a little upset. They didn't really understand where I was coming from. You know, I just like alliteration. That's my form of poetry. I write that way. I write all kind of stuff that way. So, like Green Greg's, Galactic Greg's, you know, Green Greg's Garden.
Yes.
I mean, big time into alliteration, as what Odin would be, of course.
I have a question for you. So you're talking about the heirloom seeds. Which seeds in particular would you recommend from True Leaf Market for someone to buy if they really want to be able to be self-sufficient, for instance? What would be your top seeds that you would recommend?
Good question. You know, you need a carb, you need a greens, and you need other vegetables like protein. So you'd want beans or peas for protein. I like pole beans because I can grow them up vertically, and snap beans. That's what I really love.
That's what I'm doing. The snap peas.
Yeah, I'm not too much into bush beans, although they're good. They got a lot of protein and nutrition. That's just not my forte too much. I've tried them a few times, and they're a whole lot of work. I'm a busy guy. I really do love the snap beans. So, that would be one good thing. And of course, you need something that's starchy, so look around for those kind of things. But good sources for that are like sweet potatoes or regular potatoes. So you'd probably want to find those elsewhere. However, there's all kind of greens available at Tree Leaf. I mean, a wide variety of greens, and there's every vegetable is there practically. So it's a very, very wide variety. Broccolis are very helpful, as you all know, and you can also get broccoli and microgreens. And the microgreens got 40
I've been doing that, sprouting a lot.
Yeah, to 40 times the nutritive value of a full-size vegetable. So they're really amazing, and they grow fast. You buy a fair number of seeds for that. I'm about to start planting them again here so I can support my farmers market to have something quick. But they're amazing to grow. So I definitely advise people just go through there and see what appeals to them. It's not a one size fits all. For example, here in Alabama, I can grow okra and a lot of stuff that people up north can't grow, but up there beets grow better and spinach grows better. So I don't have all that best luck in the world myself growing spinach here, but definitely can grow lettuce and things like that. Less is cold. I'm setting up my aquaponics greenhouse for year-round lettuce growth. Kind of a challenge in a hot climate like this, but I'm going to have swamp coolers operating and things like that to help cool it down. I've got shade cloth over it, and I've seen this operating in other. I hear people, "Oh, Gail, you can't run a swamp cooler in Alabama." Oh no, I've seen it done in Houston, Texas area, and they're hotter, more humid than I am, and it worked. In fact, they don't even use shade cloth at one of those places down there. And oh yeah, that's where I got this. Their name is Sustainable Harvester. I was trying to remember why I was calling Stacy's channel that instead of Sustainable Stewards. Now I remember that's the name of that.
Yes, it's Sustainable Stewards, and you were saying Sustainable Harvest, right?
That's because that's the name of one of the greenhouses I went to and visited that happens to not even use shade cloth. They just run swamp coolers to cool their greenhouse operation for aquaponics, growing lettuce near Houston, Texas. And it works for them. Now, my swamp cooler part of my greenhouse in the back, I've got a door that goes through there, so it's not solid all the way across. But neither is the one that's up in, there's another operation I visited in Texas, over the border from Louisiana, that does it near Shreveport. And they have an even bigger operation, and that's the way they operate. But they use shade cloth too. So I'm kind of more like them in that regard. So tell me about your garden. What are you growing?
Well, you mentioned shade cloth. So because it was so hot and it got hot so fast, it was like the end of April and beginning of May hit to 108. And I saw the tea leaves of how the temperature was increasing pretty rapidly. I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta get shade cloths. So I put shade cloths over. I have different phases. So if you go on Dr. Paul Cottrell's show, it's I think it's under Paul Cottrell on his YouTube. Then you can see the different phases. I actually go through the pictures and how I did each thing and how it progressed, because it was just one, and then phase 2 was supposed to happen this year and phase 3 would happen next year. And I expedited it because of what's going on and the whole shelter in place and everything. So like I just said, it was getting so hot so fast that I put snap peas. I didn't know what to plant, so this kind of sounds silly, but
snap peas like it cold.
Yeah, I started planting winter crops in summer, but this is amazing. I'm getting them to grow. And so my friend came over and she grows a lot of things. And she's like, your garden's really interesting. And she could tell that I'm not a green thumb originally. I have no knowledge of what I'm doing. This is an experiment, right? I've even tried to sprout beans 3 different ways to see how I can sprout it the best to get it to grow. So I'm like, okay, I have the snap peas here, and I'm growing some acorn squash and some eggplant and I don't know, zucchini and whatnot. And she's just looking at me, she's like, you got a lot of winter crops going on. She goes, I don't know if they're going to grow. Don't be disappointed. But then I'm actually having success. And she was seeing that they were growing, and she's like, yes, that's pretty amazing. So I think it's the shade cloth because it's getting enough moisture and it's shaded enough. And it's, I think, 70% for the
okay. That's why.
And my thought was I saw on Oppenheimer Ranch project, Diamond was showing how to make these hoop houses, and he was showing like what plastic material he uses for the greenhouse. And I was like, hey, you know, I've been wanting to sustain this in the winter so I could get some of that plastic and I could just put it over each phase, and I could have it because in Arizona it gets down to like the 30s sometimes in the winter, and it'll increase up to like 60s during the day, sometimes 50s, but it gets pretty chilly. So I'm like, well, everything's gonna, you know, die off, and then well, I'll just cover with the greenhouse.
So you're near Phoenix, right?
I am, yes. I'm technically in Chandler.
Okay.
Near the Santan Mountains.
Well, it just so happens there's a customer of mine who's bought worms in your neighborhood, and she goes by Garden Gail.
Garden Gail, that's cute.
You need to look her up. She's connected with one of the botanical gardens down there. I can't remember which one it is offhand. I mean, I've got her dress somewhere around here if I were to look for it.
Well, yeah, you should put me in contact because I need worms, and I was going to get them from you. And then right after I was thinking about it, I saw that you're no longer doing it, or at least not for now because of what's going on. And I understand your situation. So
yeah, my life has been in turmoil. I mean, I can make some special arrangements for some sales, but I just had to throw the brakes on because I still have some big things I've got to take care of, and I'm working on them. I'm working them down. But it's just a lot of work to take care of some things. I've had some crises. I just got to take care of them.
That water leak, right?
Huh?
Was it a water leak, or what happened with that water?
Oh, that was a minor one. I've got other crises bigger than that. That was nothing compared to a couple of other things. That's just one I happened to mention. Yeah, I had a pipe going out there. In fact, I started a video and I just never aired it because a lot of people were asking about it and in the comments. So I probably should do a video on it. But I had a 1.5 inch pipe going out to my greenhouse from my house, and I made it that big because it's going 200 feet, and then I got another 200 feet to go for irrigating the water. I needed water pressure, good water pressure, so I didn't want resistance in the pipe. And I had it teed off, part of it to go to the barn, and where it was teed off, that's where it busted. And I kind of figured that, so when I went digging, that's where I started, and there it was. So indeed, it busted where I thought it would. You know, as an engineer, you got to realize that parts fail where you have discontinuities and things like that typically. And it turned out I hired a guy to replace a part, and he actually used drain pipe in that part and then went out with the pressure. So it's no wonder it busted. And the sad thing was they were estimating the water the last few months. They weren't actually reading the meter. So it had probably been leaking for months, and they found it, and it was 480,000 gallons. They were going to charge me $3,500 and something. And I talked to them, and they agreed if I fixed it, and showed them the bill. And I had to use, it couldn't be me. I had to show my plumber's certified plumber repair bill for it. Now, I've laid hundreds of feet of pipe out here. I could have done it, but I had to show them the and my aponic system. I mean, I plumbed all over the place now, and including a solar hot water heater, which I plumbed. So I've been learning a lot about plumbing through what I do, but. Yeah, I got a plumber right here. It cost me, under $300. Got it all fixed up, and I submitted the bill, and they knocked it down quite a bit. They knocked most of it off, fortunately. So that's covered. I should really probably do a video just on that. I hadn't turned that water pipe back on yet. I got to make sure it'll hold.
Yeah, make sure. Oh my goodness. Well, that's good that they were able to negotiate with you and everything, and you were able to negotiate.
But it's one time. They said they wouldn't do it again within 12 months. I couldn't get another, if something happened, I couldn't get another remission. But I never needed anything like it. I never had anything like that in terms of a water bill. That was just off the charts.
Well, I'm glad to hear that's going to work out now, and it's not going to be.
We got it fixed, though. So, yeah, I've got the greenhouse, a market garden. It's way back behind the house through the woods. And when I cut that line, I had to cut through a lot of tree roots. But that wasn't a problem. It was just where I had a discontinuity in parts where it teed off. I knew it was either there or one of the elbows, or at least that's what I suspected. You can always have a pipe bust. I actually had a pipe that was feeding my house, between my house and the meter in the front yard. It busted, and I dug it up and fixed it myself. Because I wasn't trying to get a big water bill adjustment. And I didn't even know they'd do that back then, but I could see where the water was. This time in the back, I've got a swamp back there. I mean, it was, you wouldn't know unless you just knew. I mean, in fact, the pipe is below the current groundwater level. I put it in during the dry season. So the groundwater is actually over the pipe.
Ooh.
You don't have
Yeah,
to go
so you
deep.
got to suck that water out to fix the pipe, right?
I did. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I put a pump in. But hey, I do aquaponics. I got pumps and hoses and all kind of stuff.
Did you do like a shop vac or a dry vac or something to get the water out? Or you have a swamp pump.
I just used a regular little water pump. I use some of the. I got some smaller pumps I use for like my swamp coolers, and I've got a big IBC tote that's set up to dechlorinate water before it goes into my main aquaponics system. Although I had a swamp cooler line bust on me last fall. It flooded my system with chlorinated water and wiped out all my tilapia. And I thought I just had everything in balance again. I had a guy who I'd hired as a carpenter, and he thought that aquaponics bed needed some water, and he ran chlorinated water straight into it. So, oh my God. So I had to start all over again. So chlorinated, eventually I'm going to put a well in. Hopefully this year, because I really need a well. I don't need mistakes and accidents like that. Chlorinated water is poison to fish and a lot of other stuff, and I don't want sodium fluoride around either. So, and that's more, talk about your abilities, the pineal gland being calcified by sodium fluoride.
Yes. Well, that's the other thing too. I mean, now I have a house full of filtered water. I mean, even the shower's filtered, everything is filtered.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize
I make coffee with filtered water.
Exactly. I didn't realize how the water was being treated. And I moved to Arizona. I had someone come and test the water before I moved into this house. And the guy was like, this is 4 times worse than the allotted amount for the EPA standard, which is already not that great for Arizona. And so I was like, I need a water filter for the whole house, and also needed to get a softener as well because it's very hard water here. But I didn't realize like how much they chemicalize the water, and I went on that journey too of like you were just talking about the pineal gland and calcifying, and I didn't realize about the fluoride, and I had to learn about the fluoride and how it was used, and oh my gosh.
So it's funny. They tell us to give us sodium fluoride in our water to help our teeth, because it's supposed to be good for your teeth.
Didn't the Nazis use that?
You've ever heard of fluoresis? Fluoresis is taking the calcium and minerals out of your teeth and bones. You get too much sodium fluoride, that's what it does. It leaches your bone of calcium. That calcium goes into your blood veins, by the way, and deposits as plaque. So you need the calcium in your bones, not in your blood. You don't need your pineal gland crystallized, what do you call it? But anyway, so it's just nuts, the stuff they put in the water. There have been, horses drink a lot of water. If you give this kind of water, there have been horses that have died from fluoresis from drinking too much municipal water. It has actually killed horses in some places. I've read the accounts of that. So, and they died of fluoresis. And, it's not, horse needs good bones too. Now you may have to run your well water or rain collected water through something like a UV light or something to clear it up if it's got a bacterial problem. I grew up on well water. That's what I grew up on. And when I went to town to school and had to drink that water, to me it was like drinking Clorox. I couldn't stand it. It was like, man, you drink this stuff? This is terrible. It was like, it stunk. I couldn't stand it. People are nose blind to it because that's what they're used to. They think that's the way you want it. And what kills me is to go to a fancy restaurant somewhere and they bring you a glass of water and it stinks because it's got sodium fluoride and chlorine. It's the chlorine you smell it. When it's like, really? And you make your food with this stuff? Now, if I open a restaurant, I'll tell you what, there will be no chlorinated water used in any of the food products or anything you drink. It's going to be made of nice, clean water. That'll be one of my selling points. And the food will be nice, clean, organic food. I'm really thinking that maybe one day to do that. Even restaurants that sell organic food will give you chlorinated water. So, why?
You're spot on. I'm so glad you're mentioning that because I've noticed that too. Like even my favorite organic restaurant that has food that's wheat-free, dairy-free, corn-free, soy-free, egg-free, the water is still an issue. And if that food is getting cooked in the water, and I mean, we're really talking about the chemicalization of food, but then also chemicalization of water, and then chemicals, I mean, coming at us at all different angles. Like even here in Arizona, people are using a lot of things to kill the weeds in the front, because a lot of these house developments are HOAs and they don't allow you to grow anything in the front. Like you can't have a garden in the front. You cannot have weeds in the front. You'll get fined. And then the city itself has certain requirements too. So you have to keep everything looking a certain way. So people are chemicalizing their lawns, and then there are less scorpions here, the bark scorpions, like I mentioned on Dr. Paul Cottrell's show. And so people are spraying against, for the scorpions. So
poor little scorpions.
Spraying their houses for that, right? So they got all these chemicals. Then we have the SAIs. I watch like all these weird cloud formations, and I've taken multiple pictures up in the skies, and all these different things. It's like it's coming from everywhere, like every product, every food, every water, not every, but many, and then the ground, the air I'm breathing, and just it's all around. I can't think of any other thing other than they just want to dumb us down and kill us off. I'm laughing, but it's not funny.
Well, the chemicals used, especially to be bisphenol A, which they use to soften plastic or alternately harden it, whatever they want to use, and the substitutes, which are even worse. Oh, this is bisphenol A free. Well, usually they use even worse chemicals when they make it be bisphenol A free. But it's not enough that they have to put that in plastic, but they put it in liners and canned food, and it's in thermal paper and just all kind of products. That stuff is hormone bending. It's an estrogen mimicker. You pick it up through your fingers, it soaks through your skin, gets in your bloodstream. And these chemicals are really bad, especially on boys that get so much estrogen. It's in the little pacifiers that they suck on. It's in the nipples on the bottles. I mean, mothers need to feed their kids breast milk. I mean, they'll get 10 IQ points, better immunity, they'll be much healthier, and the mom will have less chance of breast cancer if she actually uses what nature gave her. And sorry husbands, that equipment is for the kid. The kid that's how Mother Nature intended it. That's what it's for, and the kids need that. And it's not something you can hog to yourself, because it's a nutritive thing. It builds an immune system. That's the way Mother Nature and the greater creator intended it. So that's what it's all about. We've it's a shame how we handle some things in our society, but that's what the kids need. It's so much better for them. I've got a friend who had 2 kids, and one she gave the bottle to too much, and the other she raised on breast milk. And the one that had the bottle has all kind of allergies. The other one don't. Now, I'm not saying that's the reason why, but it's highly interesting. Highly interesting.
Well, if you look at the ingredients and like the Infamil and all these different products, I mean, there usually is soy, there's usually corn syrup. So we're talking about GMO corn. And then when the kids get a little older and they start getting the gummies, I mean, the vitamin C is usually from citric acid, which is from GMO corn, or ascorbic acid, or, whatever, however they want to source it. It's usually.
Well, what about the infant milk was coming from China? It was contaminated with a lot of nasty stuff coming from. Why are we buying food from China in the first place? For Pete's sake, we got the bread basket right here. Well, they will actually buy a raw product from us, ship it over there, process it, and ship it back. That's
those Gerber products too. I mean, I know that, I don't know if it's in the final end, but there are companies like, I think it's called Cenomix or Sonomics, that has the aborted baby fetus cells that they use as a flavor enhancer, which is in products like Gerber baby products. And I don't know to the extent how that winds up in the end product, but I do know that if it's of such a small amount, they don't have to actually legally put that they use any of that in the ingredient list. And so I don't really trust ingredient lists for the most part, unless it's a vetted out company. And so I'm at the point where I hardly eat out. And then I think about,
there's allowable limits in all grocery foods, all processed foods, peanut butter, chips, anything you buy that's a processed food. There are allowable limits for bug parts, for rat hair, for rat feces, all that nasty stuff. The food, the factory food you buy, the processed food you buy, the big organic, corporate food is nasty.
Yes.
Here, where it comes from, even if it comes from Whole Foods,
That's right. And I don't actually trust Whole Foods now that Amazon has their fingers. I noticed there was a difference because I started breaking out around my mouth.
Ah, we
transfer,
know they
even with the products that said organic.
They were selling Del Monte as organic. Del Monte. Go figure. Yeah.
I was just thinking about the education system too, like all these kids going to school, and then they're usually doing a lot of like cupcakes and cakes and celebrations and cookies, which is what I experienced when my children only went to school for 1 year. The rest of the time I've homeschooled before and afterward. And also just the food that they're serving too. I mean, the quality, and there are exceptions. There are schools that are actually like growing their own gardens and then using that, but it's far and few between. And so, I mean, if we even think about that too, like these kids are growing up being so exposed all around. It's no wonder that we see so many cases of autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, ADD, you know, all, you can list all the acronyms of all the different things going on.
Yeah, and all the other stuff they put in you. It's so good for you. They love you so much.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they love you so much.
Love you so much.
It's just sad. It's really sad. I would love to see, because you were talking about a restaurant. I would love to see not just a restaurant where the water's filtered and the food's cooked with filtered water and it's all organic and better than organic. Because when I say organic, there's still loopholes, right?
Natural grow.
I would love to see that, but I also love to see that in the education system. If we get to, we are going back to having kids in school. I'm kind of horrified at what that might look like.
So you think you'd see that in a public school? You realize the big ag corporations would fight tooth and nail to stop that. You gotta remember, ketchup is a vegetable, by the way.
Yeah, do you know that? A lot of corn syrup in ketchup? And that's usually GMO corn. I mean, I make my own ketchup. I make my own a lot of things. And I'm thinking of expanding on YouTube about, like, I'm growing basil and maybe using like the recipes in my books. I have different pesto recipes and showing people like you can grow your own basil, you grow your own this, grow your own that, put it together and actually make some of the recipes in my book. And I'm thinking of coming out with a second book where I can expand upon that and have more of the garden incorporated, where it's like, okay, so now we're taking it a step further, right? Like we're going to grow the food, we're going to use that food. And I'm getting creative. I was making what I called pizza boats kind of, and I was using my potatoes, and then I made a sauce. And so I did some trading, some networking with people in the area, and we're starting to all like agree, okay, we were going to grow something, I'm going to grow something, and then we're going to trade. So I did a trade. Nice. I got basil and oregano and parsley from one friend of mine. And so, I mean, it was to the point where I had to like pull off the basil leaves, and I'm trying to regrow from the stems, and I'm trying to harvest the seeds so I can grow some in my own garden as well, or trade with someone else. And the point is that I took all that, and then I thought, well, I don't have tomatoes yet, but let's imagine I have tomatoes growing too. And I made a homemade sauce, which the recipe is in my current book. And instead of using the dried herbs like I do in the book, I was using the fresh herbs and made this sauce. And then I ate it, and I had it over potatoes instead of pasta, because I was like, well, what if I can't make pasta, right? And so I did that, and it was delicious. So I'm like, this is a meal that's really like, potatoes have L-lysine and like that's antiviral and such. So I'm like, that's a meal that can be really healing. Oregano is really great at fighting, viral and bacterial, a bunch of things. So I'm like, you put all that together, you can have like a supercharged meal, and it's all from your garden. You didn't have to buy it at the store. You grew it yourself. It has your energy. You're just bringing that back into your body. So I'm trying to think of like how I could do that for my second book and expand upon that.
Nice. Nice. So, really just think about how you can enhance your food with stuff like microgreens. I mean, and you put microgreens in salads and some people use it to garnish. I eat them, and
I eat them too.
Gosh, it just makes such a huge difference. They are so scrumptious, so good, and they're so nutritive. They just add so much value to any salad or anything you add them to. It just makes the flavor pop, and it's so good for you. So it's mind-boggling. I love it.
It has so much energy when they first sprout and grow. And have you ever seen, I think it's called Kirlian photography, where they show the energetic field. And so you can see that the energetic field around those sprouts is just really huge and vibrant. And that's what's going in your body. And so that energy is good for your body.
Yeah, what about the Carillion photography of a maple leaf where they cut part of the leaf off and lay it on the plate and take the photograph and there's an image of the entire leaf? Have you seen those
Interesting.
photographs?
My daughter, probably not the right channel, but I'll just mention it very briefly.
Yeah.
I was cutting up green onions, and my daughter saw the green onions, the color change from when I was had the green onions, and then I started cutting, and she noticed that the color around it changed.
Interesting. Well, garlic is best when you smash it and crush it because it forms the allicin. Not my last name, by the way, but it sounds the same.
Allison.
I should probably, since I got all this garlic growing out there, I probably should come up with a new brand and call it Allison's Allison.
That's cute.
That's back into alliteration, right?
Yeah. AA.
Hey, not alcoholics.
Use it something else. Not the other AA. You don't want that one. Oh, that's funny. Oh.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So, yeah, we got some borderline topics for my gardening prepping channel, but those subscribers that came to me from Rex and Paul and Diamond would all appreciate this discussion.
Well, we kind of touched upon a few different people that I'm associated with in one way or another, so I think they'll be okay. I didn't go too far with anything.
Well, we
I'm
like
giving them shout outs. I'm sorry.
Live action role play is
exactly live action role play. You got it.
Good
word. Yes, a LARP session.
Of course, I have seen a channel that accused Rex of being satanic for having LARP sessions, live action role play. Is that really? That was funny.
Oh, no, I've had to use that phrase. I did some talks on BlogTalkRadio last year when I was just first starting to open up to coming on social media, coming on YouTube, and I made sure to use the word, this is a LARP session, so I was talking about the chemicalization of vaccinations and how I thought, which has manifested, well, not fully, but almost, but how I thought they were going to do certain things with the vaccines, and now I'm starting to see that play out. And so I just made a video last night, and I was telling people, go type my name in and look on Blog Talk Radio. There were 2 talks, and the second one that I did, I went into detail about that. So I made sure to use let's pretend this is a LARP session, just in case. I don't want the gremlins coming.
Oh, they'll probably come because you used the V word on this video already. Yeah, it's a shame. We really
we'll do a bunch of ohms and
or Rex chants Hugh, which happens to be my middle name, 432 hertz, right? The original A note.
Yes.
That's my middle name, Hugh.
Hey, you did the video, didn't you? In that tunnel, the Back to the Future tunnel.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I want to find that because I was listening to it, and I always listen to the videos, but I hardly ever watch them, and I missed the light. But I heard you guys, and I'm like, I'm going to go back and find that. You
will find it on Galactic Greg's.
Galactic Greg's, okay.
And there's not as many videos. It might be faster, but his camera he had a better camera than me. He captured a little better version, and he did a follow-up where he broke it down and showed it in reverse and slow-mo. Rex really played it up pretty good. And so anytime you want to see all the videos on any channel, if you go in the upper left-hand corner, there's home and then there's videos. Just click the videos and you can just scroll through them and they'll all come in. Some channels have, a couple thousand videos, takes a while. But that was done back in early December, so you don't have to go back too far. Early December, and he probably made the following video like a week or 2 later. So it might have been, it's before mid-December. So if you kind of looking time-wise, that's how you can find it. And it'll be in the vicinity of the videos he made where we were out shooting a show there in LA, and and it's also him and I out talking about what could happen to LA and how vulnerable it was. And I've done videos talking about a family there, the DeVace family, and how they grow 6,000 to 7,000 pounds of food per year on a tenth of an acre. So, see, the problem with these homeowner associations, not only they're promoting you poisoning the soil and the land and the environment, which is an atrocity, unsustainable, they're denying us what we really could do, because you could feed on the 42 to 47 million acres of lawns in North America 2 billion people. So, you know, I've seen vegetable gardens that look far more artful than any grass. You should never even grow grass. I mean, the only thing you should ever grow is dandelions and clover if you're not going to garden. By the way, you can eat either of them. And the bees love it. The bees love clover. If you can grow, there might be a challenge to grow that there in Arizona, but if you can grow grass, you can definitely grow it.
We have plenty of dandelions here, and we have another offshoot of dandelion. I don't know what it's called, thistle or something. It looks very similar to dandelion, but it gets much, much taller. I mean, it's taller than I am in my backyard.
That is wild lettuce.
Well, that's wild lettuce? Oh, okay, because I've eaten some of it.
Beware the milky sap.
It gets older.
Beware the milky sap. It can be toxic, but it's used as a medicinal for headaches and things like that. So look up the medicinal purposes of that sap. It's very powerful, actually. But you got to be careful with it because it does have toxicities also. Anytime you have a milky sap in anything, any plant, you got to watch it. But that is wild lettuce.
And when it was young, it was great. I made a pesto out of it, and I was like, oh, I thought it was dandelion. I was like, oh, it's delicious dandelion pesto. Put turmeric in it. It'll be in my future recipe book. I'll have that one in there because I wanted something wild that people could make, you know?
Well, now you'll know what to call it. If people want to see videos of wild edibles, you can just look through my channel, click that videos thing. And I'm planning to do one on dandelion soon, and I'll probably do one on wild lettuce, plantain. I haven't covered that too much. I filmed a bunch of video of wild lettuce last year, but I don't think I actually included it in any of my videos. I don't include everything I shoot. I got tons of videos I never edit. If I got to edit them, chances are it's only got a 50% chance of making it on my video channel because I just don't have time to do a lot of editing. Kills me. Time's my problem.
Well, you do so many different things.
Now, it's bad when you got to shut down in your main business just to catch up on the backlog of other crises that pile up on you. And that's what I've had to do. And I had to do it at peak season, so that made it even worse. I mean, you know, I was staying up all night, 3 nights a week practically, just processing orders. It was intense. I was selling worms like crazy. Now I'm having problems with the post office. I'm still selling just a few, but post office is getting to be very hard to deal with because they're just not delivering stuff. And you know, you don't want something that says live on it sitting in a post office in a mail sorting facility for 2 weeks before they, you know, they receive it, and they'll just sit there, you know, forever.
Yeah.
Then they'll send it out.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's supposed to be priority mail. It says live on it, live animals. You would think that somebody would go, oh, we need to send this box ahead. You know.
What's going on with people that sell leeches for like when someone chops off a finger and they get the leeches shipped? I wonder how that's going. Hopefully not sitting there for 2 weeks.
Do you have some leeches coming?
No. I was just curious because I know some people sell leeches.
There's probably no shortage of bloodsuckers around. I mean, I'm telling you.
Bloodsuckers? Yeah, they're around.
That's why I hate garlic. All bloodsuckers hate garlic.
Vampires away.
I hit one back, go, yeah. No, you can't be a vampire. You're out of the club. As they shriek in horror from the taste of garlic in her mouth.
Well, I like garlic, so I won't have any vampires bothering me.
Yeah, you're not going to get turned into a vampire, so forget about it.
I know, I'm joking.
This is a live action role play.
I was about to say that. I'm like, this is just a live action role play. We're not serious. This is for entertainment purposes only.
Bingo. Exactly. Especially when talking vampires. You know, it's just kind of fun thing to talk about when you're talking about bloodsuckers. But it's a case, you know, that eating garlic does deter mosquitoes and other things from eating on you. And of course, there's something, wearing perfume attracts them. So I used to have somebody visit my garden area when I was working out there a lot. And I always liked it when she came because the mosquitoes would fly to her and they left me alone. Please come. Please come. You may come in? Yeah, please do. don't wear that foo-foo stuff if you're in the garden in mosquito
Oh yeah, I
territory.
don't like perfumes. I do essential oils, but I don't wear any perfume. I mean, it's just putting a bunch of chemicals all over your body, and that's not really good for your body, your brain.
Women don't need all that stuff. Don't need all the makeup. I mean, a lot of women go way overboard. All that stuff's unnecessary. Mother
Covers up the
Nature.
pheromones too. I mean, like we have our own natural pheromones that were meant to attract certain mates, and if we're covering that up and they get attracted to the perfume, not really attracted to us, they're attracted to the perfume, which is full of all kinds of weird things.
That means you're attracting people who are not really attracted to you.
Exactly.
I wonder why we have so many divorces. Holy smoke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, think about it.
I like natural people personally.
Yeah, I've never dyed my hair. I'm hopefully never gonna have to like use henna or anything.
Hey, me neither. This is real stuff. I got hat here.
Girl showing off her hair.
Somebody thought I was wearing a wig in one video, but no, this is real, folks. And hey, my hair is still, I got a lot of white in the beard, but my hair is still natural.
Yeah, you still got your color. Look at that.
There's a little bit in the beard, but you can't see it on this video. It gets washed out in the lights and everything. But I still have a little bit of it.
I can kind of see in the mustache.
Really, yeah, you can see a little bit
in the mustache and then like right here.
Yeah. It used to be really, my beard used to be red. It was darker than my hair. Now it's gone lighter. So now I'm officially a gray beard.
Gray beard.
But I'm cute. Still young and strong. So.
Go visit Paul at Pirates Cove. That's what he's calling his new office. He's out there.
Actually, I'm Viking by descent mostly.
Yeah, I think you said Nordic, right? Isn't that what you said on the other episode?
Yes, I have a lot of Nordic blood. At least 50%, probably more. I'd wager a fair bit more. And like I was telling Stacy, I adjusted to Alaska like a fish to water and nearly died when I came back home to Alabama. I'm acclimated now. I can handle the heat now. But if I were to go back to Alaska to live 2 years, I would not come back because I know it would not go well for me. I was going, nope, I did that once. I'm not going back.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to transition, isn't it?
Oh, it was murder when I was, in my young 20s. I was 23-year-old when I came back. And it nearly killed me. I mean, I got heat exhaustion riding in my pickup truck with the windows rolled down through the town I was born in. Go figure that one. So, yeah, that was rough. Maybe I'd have to settle in Michigan or Minnesota for a while before I could come back. Gradually work my way back down.
Arizona, we get up to 120 sometimes in the summer.
Yeah, actually, I drove.
Most of the time it's dry, but I mean, sometimes we have monsoon season. Well, it's not called monsoon season, but it's kind of like monsoon season where it gets really humid. But it can get pretty hot here. I mean, like you're roasting in the oven.
The first time I went through Phoenix was in 1983 on my way back from Alaska. I drove back from Alaska. I drove down the West Coast. I went down, instead of turning left and going straight to Alabama when I got to the end of the Alaska Highway, I turned right and went down to Fraser River Canyon eventually into Vancouver. The Fraser River Canyon is just lovely. It's beautiful. Then I went south till I hit the Mojave Desert. Then I turned right till I saw this big crack in the ground. Then I drove south. I turned left. I saw the big crack. And then I drove south till I got to these cactuses that look like this. Then I drove left till I heard Sweet Home Alabama.
How's that for Arizona?
Oh, now Arizona, I got a soft spot for Arizona. I've got a little tribe project in Arizona, and I'm trying to get a worm farm established there. So I'll have 2 worm farms, a worm farm east and a worm farm west. That'll help handle these high cost of postage and make shipment a lot more direct. So it'll solve a lot of logistical problems and cost problems if I can get this operation in Arizona going. And actually the worms are doing well, so I've got high expectation that that's going to work out. I did a video of me opening a package of worms in Arizona that I had shipped to Arizona. I beat them there by a few days. That was before the Postal Office got all the gunk in their system they got today. They're slowed down a lot. So, but I beat the worms there, and I got to receive and open the package myself. And I did a video, and that video also includes basically how to build the little totes. I've got a couple of videos on that. So it's got good information on it. So guys and ladies, if you're on the West Coast and you're looking for worms, I'll have them readily locally available from that side of the country in a not too distant future, I hope. And
Nice.
also sell, I'll be selling some worm castings in that area too then. So that'll give me a kind of two, so I have to shuttle back and forth somehow.
Yes.
So that'd be cool. So you might be seeing me in your neighborhood in not too distant future.
Yeah, let me know if you come on out. Trying to think about maybe like building a cabin. I bought some land up at the, like somewhere around the Grand Canyon. I'm not gonna be very specific on purpose. I'm thinking maybe making a cabin up there. But I think your group is gonna be on the opposite side. I think you're on the eastern side, northeastern side, right?
Well, yeah, this group, but see, for people that are just seeing this for the first time, I'm forming a network of tribes. And as a network, I'm basically just being a facilitator, coordinator, trying to get information together to enable people to form their own tribal groups in different areas of the country. And people are sending me emails from everywhere. And so I'll follow up with an email, ask them where you at and what are your skills. And, see if they actually have property, if they like to host a tribe, or if they just want to join a tribe, are they willing to relocate? How far would they be willing to go to? Things like that. So just the kind of information I can try to see if we can match people up with different groups. And it's getting interesting. So I'm expecting there'll be a number of these groups all over the country, and maybe even in your area. Maybe even you'd want to start with. I don't know. We'll have to talk about it. Anyway, the people interested.
Yeah, I sent an email back to you in response. I did receive your email, so I did respond.
Yeah, we're sending an email out right now. We're trying to catch up on these. But the email that people need to send to is HAL5, HAL5, SPACE @AOL.com. So that way you'll get included in this network, and eventually I'll set up a one of these bulletin boards that you can go to through Discord or something like that. I'm having problems on my main computer with Discord, so I'll probably do that on my laptop. I got computers all around here. I'll probably use this one. Or this is coming off my desktop. I got another laptop
diodes
over here.
Since you have so many computers.
Huh?
Do you use diodes? Like diodes like this?
Diode. What is diode?
So it's to help if you're EMF sensitive, electromagnetic frequency sensitive.
Oh.
The radiation. I was just curious. I always keep a diode next to my laptop as I have it open, and then I turn off my laptop when I'm not using it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I got a thick skull. I'm EMF proof.
I actually wear one too. So if I'm going around and I'm in an area where it could be an issue, it's hidden, but it's.
That's Indian. What do you call it? I know the name of that.
So this is quartz, and then it's hidden up in here.
I mean the pattern on it. That's the pattern on it.
Oh. Okay. This one is the flower of life.
Yeah. Okay. That's flower of life. I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, what else would you like to say about food and healing with food? We've gone for an hour and a quarter now. So what else would you like to say about healing with food? Would you like to add to that? Is there anything you would like to magnify on? Anything that you think that people need to take away from this?
Well, I really would encourage people to start checking out everything I'm putting out, because I'm trying to put information out there to help people heal themselves, because my idea is that we have the power to heal ourselves. And just with all the chemicalization like we talked about, people don't realize that they have these powers and abilities. So I'm trying to empower people, trying to inspire people, trying to motivate people. And then if people are interested, they can obtain my book. It's on Amazon.com. It's also on blurb.com. And I'm also taking, like, if people want consultations, I have the Rainbow Healing and Wellness I'm just starting up. So if someone wants to get more information about that, he or she can email me at info@rainbowfoodrocks.com, which I'll email you the information for the description box. This way someone can
email that, or you can put it, either email it to me or put it in the Facebook chat. You can email me and send me your website. And of course, I'll have your YouTube channel. Send me that. Just send me all those, and I'll post. Ladies and gentlemen, all these will be posted below this video. So we're doing this on the night of the 14th of May. I'll post it sometime during the day of the 15th. because it's too late to post a video. It will not go anywhere if I post it this hour. You don't want to get
Yes, yeah.
3 views. If I post at the right time, it'll get a few thousand.
Correct. Yeah, you got to get just the right time.
Yep. So optimally on a Friday it would be somewhere between like 1 and 3 p.m.
And then the other thing I want to mention is that I've been using essential oils, and I'm going to do a video in the near future trying to teach people how they can use the oils. And then if they're interested, they can buy them from me. I'm currently using doTERRA oils, but I'm also working with a vendor in India. Everything's been closed down. It's just starting to open back up. And all of his products are even better than organic, and they do yoga and meditation before they even work with the oils. A future source, and then I have a current source. So if people do want to start exploring with what they can do with oils, they can put them in food, because I have food grade essential oils. That's another avenue. I'm also trying to teach people how to do yoga, meditation. So I'm kind of going in many different directions because it's just all encompassing. I want to encourage people to have a healthy lifestyle.
I want to step away for just about 5 minutes. Can you talk about that for a little bit and expand on what you have?
Sure.
Go ahead. You got the
okay. So pretty much, if someone is interested, we have the branch off of the essential oils. Then we have the yoga, and we have the meditation. And I'm doing all these videos on YouTube. So if you're interested, you can subscribe to Rainbow Food Rocks on YouTube. And then if you need more information, you really want me to work one-on-one with you, you can email me for a consultation. I do a free 15-minute intake to kind of see if we're a good match. And then we go from there, and you only pay for what you're going to receive. There aren't any contracts or anything like that. So I want it to be very comfortable for people that want more information or possibly want to work with me or just want to talk to me about something in more depth than back and forth small conversation. And again, there's the book, there's the garden, and I'm putting videos on how to grow your own food and what I'm doing and all my mistakes and trials and errors. And I'm also kind of dabbling in teaching people a little bit about my story, and I'm slowly unfolding that. I have a pretty long story of what exactly I went through, what I went through with my 3 kids. And in my first book, it's a pretty short version, but it gives a lot of information in just a few pages. But I'm starting to elaborate on that a little bit more. And let's see here, what else can I think of that would be really good to know? Just overall in general, with everything that's going on, I really want people to heal themselves, to become more aware. And looks like Greg's coming back. He's back. So I think I pretty much summed it up. There are probably things that I've forgotten to mention, but I can't think of any more off the top of my head.
Yeah, I would hope one day myself to make essential oils, homemade right here.
Yes, well, Ananda does that. There's a place up in Washington on Camino Island where a group of Ananda folk, they actually make their own oils, like lavender oil, and it's really interesting. I don't have much knowledge on how to do that, but I was thinking maybe of taking a future trip to India, to that one Indian vendor, and seeing how he does it and that whole process. Because I know how to use the oils, but I don't really know exactly how they're made and how to do it. So I'm a little bit interested in that.
Awesome. Well, there's distillation processes and other things, but it's not, you don't distill the same way you do like alcohol. It's a different process.
Mm-hmm, it is.
So it's pretty neat. It's pretty interesting. I'd like to try my hand at it one day, but I got too many irons in the fire right now. So it's not something while I'm doing this day job where I'm working from home or whether I go back to the office with it. That's a little bit too much. So it's pretty intense. I'm already doing 2 YouTube channels, a day job, a worm farm, a market garden. My hands are somewhat full.
Yeah, it's just never ending. I mean, I can empathize in that. I have the 3 kids. I'm always trying to make food. I mean, everything in my life revolves around food and this holistic lifestyle. And again, I keep using the word lifestyle because it really is a lifestyle. It can't, in my opinion, it's not just the food. It's all these other pieces combined with the food, the energy, what's going into it, how it's being made. and then all these other activities of being spiritual and being aware and so on and so forth.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want a testament to what Gail is talking about, just look at Gail. She's got so much energy. Look at that. Look at that smile. Look at the energy. Oh my gosh. Holy smoke. Like I said, I had to drink some C60 just so I could hang on here.
So you keep up with me? Oh, that's hilarious.
But Gail, your energy is a beautiful thing. I see it coming through you, and I can tell you have a good heart because it speaks through you, and that's just an amazing thing. The most amazing thing anyone can have is a good heart. So you've got a good foundation there. You're blessed.
Thank you.
And you're sharing your blessings and knowledge with the world, and that's what really matters. So my hat's off to you. Do you have anything you'd like to say in closing?
No, I think I've reiterated quite a bit, so I'm good. Thank you for asking.
All right, well, I'm going to cease the recording here. We can chat for a couple of minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. We may have Gail back on in the future because she's just a breath of fresh air and very inspirational in what she does and the energy that she has. Maybe that energy will infect all of us just by listening to her. It's certainly
the goal, right? To increase the vibrations.
There you go. So, everyone, thank you for watching. Oh, by the way, let's say don't put red magnets in my worm tea. That way I'll know you listened to the whole broadcast.
Red magnets and what? Say that again. Worm tea.
Don't put red magnets. This is a little magnet.
And don't put red magnets
in my worm tea.
In your worm tea. Okay, did everyone get that? Don't put red magnets in Greg's worm tea.
Yeah.
Not China, worm tea.
Yeah. The people that don't watch us all the way through, when they see those comments, they're going to go, what? So sometimes it's funny just to get comments to mess with the heads of the people that watch the whole video. So you have
Greg drinks worm tea? What?
You have watched it this far. Just have a little fun.
Oh, that's great.
And we'll know you watched it when you say that.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Gail, thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for watching.